Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Soy Erika y bienvenidos a un otro video conmigo. Hi everyone, my name is Erica. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I make Spanish video lessons, so if you're learning the language, you should definitely go and check those out. Pero hoy vamos a hablar de cómo yo practico el español mientras vivo en Canadá. So today we'll be talking about how I am practicing Spanish while not living in a Spanish-speaking country. So if you are a beginner to the language and you don't have the opportunity to practice Spanish outside of the classroom, these are tips on how I am practicing my Spanish every single day, but in a natural and enjoyable form so it doesn't feel like a chore. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you found it helpful and let me know what other videos or lessons you want to see in the future. Y bueno, vamos a empezar con mis tips, ¿ok? So, la primera cosa que yo hago siempre, cada día, es escuchar la música en español. Entonces, cuando estoy conduciendo a trabajo, siempre pongo música en español. So, whenever I am driving or whenever I'm going to work, doing nothing, I always listen to Spanish music, and I have been doing this since 2014. And this has helped me greatly in improving not only my grammar, but my vocabulary and understanding in Spanish. So I recommend you guys look and find and explore Spanish music and start listening to it. Because what it does is, as you are listening, you are inevitably picking up some words and you might fall in love with the song. You want to know, what are they talking about? You search up the lyrics, you learn new vocabulary, maybe new grammar. For me, I surprisingly learned a lot of new grammar when I'm listening to music in Spanish. So I totally recommend you guys check this out or try this out. I really like Alvaro Soler. I started with Alvaro Soler, and I just recommend him because I find his lyrics easy to understand, and he uses like very proper Spanish, doesn't use a lot of slang. The grammar and vocabulary isn't too complicated, so I was able to understand more or less what he was talking about when I was first learning Spanish. So I recommend Alvaro Soler. He sings like more pop music. He's from Spain. También hay Carlos Vives, que es colombiano, and he also makes really beautiful Colombian music. I think it's like cumbia and vallenato. Really beautiful music. You should just explore and check it out. Just a recommendation. Also, there's Buena Vista Social Club, which makes Cuban music. But there's salsa, cumbia, vallenato, bachata, reggaeton, hay todo. There's something for everybody, no matter what type of genre you like. You really need to listen to Spanish music. This is honestly how I think I got so good at Spanish and how I gained so much vocabulary, and I was able to just understand grammar so well and have such good listening comprehension is because I was always listening to music and trying to figure out what they were singing about. Okay, también tele. So when I was in high school, I also got really good at Spanish because I was watching Spanish TV series on Netflix. And this is what I'm currently doing now to practice my Spanish along with listening to music. So when I come home from work, I just turn on Netflix and I'm watching Pasión de Gavilanes, que es una telenovela. So the thing with Spanish TV series is that along with listening to it, you have a visual aid that is helping you learn. How I do it is I always have the audio in Spanish in its original language, but when I was a beginner, I'd have the subtitles in English, and I do think that is okay to do it that way because you're still listening to the language and you're still able to pick up some vocabulary and understanding. So I would say watch a TV show, audio in Spanish, but the subtitles in English. Once you get really good, you can switch the subtitles to Spanish as well. That's currently what I'm doing. It is a lot more work and you might miss some things, but it's also better listening comprehension and it's forcing you even more to practice your Spanish. But check on Netflix, check on Prime Video, whatever your streaming service is, check it out and see what Spanish TV shows you can find. You'll learn language and culture and it's great comprehension as well. Okay? Bueno, okay. Now, alguna cosa más académico es leer. Cuando yo estaba en la universidad, siempre tenía que leer libros en español. So when I was in university, I had to read a lot of books in Spanish. I had to take so many courses about Hispanic literature. And this actually solidified, or it really took my Spanish to the next level. I started speaking with better grammar. I had a wider range of vocabulary. I was writing better. So I recommend you read in Spanish, okay? So, puedes empezar con libros infantiles. You can start with childhood books. This is great for beginners or even intermediate advanced Spanish speakers. if first time you're ever reading in Spanish, start with libros infantiles. You might be like, oh, why? I don't want to read a childhood book. But there's actually some really great stories like this one, La Composición. This one is great. It has a lot of history. It talks about the dictatorship in Chile. So that has deeper themes. It won't be so boring maybe as to read like a book really meant for little children. So you can read libros infantiles. They have simpler vocabulary, but really great meanings. You can learn about the history as well. También hay poesía y cuentos. There's poetry, short stories. I love Pablo Neruda. He talks about some really great themes. You can learn a little bit more about culture and history, have a more poetic language. So there's Pablo Neruda also. He's also very famous. Once you get past the short stories and poems, by the way, everything here you can find online or maybe at your local library, or for the big books, you might need to buy them online. But for libros infantiles, poesía y cuentos, you can find them for free online, okay? I'm going to make a video with all the ones I'm recommending that you can find for free online. Let me know if you're interested, okay? So once you've graduated from poems, cuentos, libros infantiles, you can move on to novelos y libros más largos. So when I was living in Spain, I would go to the bookstore all the time and try to buy books. So I have this one here. This one is by Gabriel García Márquez, and it is Crónica de una muerte anunciada, also called Algo muy grave va a suceder en este pueblo. I don't know why it has two titles. I've seen it with both titles, but it's the same book and it's great. The language here isn't too complicated. So if you are like intermediate going to advanced, I say give it a try. It's not too long. You can read this. I also got this book when I was in Spain. My friend gave it to me. It's just a normal romance, but it's in Spanish and it helped me with my vocabulary. So I like to read in Spanish, and I say you should definitely try it out as well, okay? So, la última cosa que yo hago. So this one is what I do. This is more a lifestyle, this one, okay? So there's obviously listening to music, reading, and watching TV. That's things you do when you're at home by yourself. But this is where a lot of like the big practice is going to come as well, okay? Because like I always say in all of my videos, in order to really speak Spanish, you need to be practicing and speaking with someone in real life, okay? So, cosas que yo hago en mi vida. Yo trato de encontrar nuevos amigos. So I always try to meet new friends. Sorry, that should be nuevos amigos. Okay, ignore the grammar mistake. Okay, I always try to meet new friends. So if I meet someone and they speak Spanish, I ask if I can practice my Spanish with them. So I have friends in Mexico, Spain, Venezuela. Sometimes when we're hanging out, we say, oh, can we speak in Spanish? And we speak in Spanish. So that's a really great way to practice. You're going to really learn from them. They can fix your mistakes. They can teach you just from them speaking. So always try and meet new friends who speak Spanish. Another thing that I did was I worked at an authentic Mexican restaurant. So I was in an environment where people were speaking Spanish to each other. So I picked up a lot as well. The customers were also Mexicans who were living here. So they would come and they would want to speak in Spanish, and I'd be happy to practice and understand them and improve my Spanish with them as well. So if you even just want to go to an authentic restaurant, you can ask, hey, do you mind if I practice my Spanish while I'm here? And usually they're more than willing. So you can practice your Spanish with them, eat amazing food, and learn more about the culture. So I would recommend going to authentic restaurants as well, okay? Another thing is in my city, we have tiendas latinas. So, oh my goodness, I didn't check my grammar in this video. Tiendas latinas, okay? Sorry. Tiendas latinas. So I go to these, I really like trying new foods, and sometimes I get nostalgic for things I've had abroad. So I go to these stores, and a lot of the time the cashier will just speak Spanish because they assume that people who go in there speak Spanish. You can practice with them as well and gain vocabulary there, or you just ask, hey, do you mind if I try do this if you check me out in Spanish, for example. Okay, this one here, Clases de Baile Latino. I am currently taking salsa lessons and I've done bachata lessons. So when you're in the beginner course, a lot of these people won't be Spanish, but if you ever go to a Latin club and you dance salsa, a lot of the people there are Hispanic, and you will meet people, and then hence you can practice your Spanish. So this is something else I did that kind of in turn helped me practice my language. And the last thing is probably the most important. It is language tandems. In most cities with a considerable amount of people, or if you live in a university city, 100% they are going to have these language tandems or language exchange clubs. Basically, it's where you have people from all different languages, and for half the time, you will speak in their language, and then half the time in your language, and you'll just switch. And because you are both practicing your language, and it's beneficial for both people. So you can do these language tandems or language exchanges are super recommendable, okay? Y bueno, este fue el video. Espero que lo han disfrutado y nos vemos en el próximo, ¿ok? Adiós todos.